You are listening to Parenting Our Future with certified parent coach Robin McMahon, author of The Yelling Cure and founder of Parenting for Connection. My podcast is all about providing you with the tools and solutions you need in your parenting so you can create the family you always wanted. For more information on my book and other resources, check out yellingcurebook.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome back and Happy New Year. I am so excited to ring in the new year, and not just a new year, it's a new decade, 2020. Happy New Year, everyone. Okay, so most of you are probably in the mindset of creating new resolutions, new goals, new intentions for yourself, for your life, for your family. And what better way to start a brand new year, a brand new decade off, but by talking about how to create more abundance in your life. And I am so happy to welcome yet again the beautiful, talented, and wonderful Andrea Ferguson, who is a fit mindset mentor and coach, and she's the founder of the Fit Life Method. She's my friend, and I'm so excited to have her here. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Robin, for having me again.
Yay.
Love being here with you.
And Happy New Year to you as well.
And to you too.
Thank you. So when we talk about abundance, I think most people probably think that it relates to money and acquiring objects and that sort of thing. And I know that's not wrong, but I know it's also not completely right. Can you clarify that?
I like to think of abundance as that money and the acquisition of things would be a byproduct of an abundant life. So an abundant life is one where you allow the abundance of love, peace, joy, and well-being that is flowing, that is available to you at all times. When you allow that to flow into your life and allow that to be your state, your dominant state more often.
Okay. So you said allowing love, allowing peace, joy, well-being in. Okay. So that all sounds lovely.
Yeah. How does that translate into money?
Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Show me the money. No. But here, what if I have a serious illness? What if I don't have any money? So how do you allow that in? Like, I'm going to allow well-being in when I am going through chemo, have a surgery coming up. How do I do that?
Great question. And that's often what happens to us, is that we allow our external conditions to determine how we feel. We allow our circumstances and what's going on in our world to determine, how we feel inside. And so we tend to get really focused on what's missing, what's lacking, or where there's not enough of, especially in situations when we're being challenged, right? And we all had those experiences on some level. So abundance, to live an abundant life or to be in a state of abundance, it's instead by choosing to focus on all forms of abundance that you already have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I were to compare it to having a life-threatening illness or something like that, it's, thank you for today. Thank you for another day.
Yes.
Like recognizing I have a home, I have a bed, that's what you're talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's beginning to focus on what you do have in this moment.
Okay.
And the more we focus on what we do have, the more we focus on more what we focus on expands. So if we focus on what we do have, we have, and the appreciation for what we have, the more of that is what comes into our experience.
Yes. Okay. So when you say it's all just energy, what exactly does that mean?
Right. So what is flowing to us in our life, sort of in and out of our life, is responding to our energy. So the energy that we put out through our thoughts, actions, and our behaviors. So the energy we put out is the energy that we give back. Money is just another form of energy, right? So money is just responding to the energy behind it. Right. And same with anything, same with love. So and relationships and the people in our life, it's all just energy, right? Our emotions are energy, and everything in our life is just flowing in accordance. So when you think about focusing on what you do want and you do love, or what you do, or the joy that you have, the more you're coming from that state, the more of that comes into your life. It's just sort of that law of attraction, right? It's just universal law. And money is just another form of energy. We have a lot of stuff hung up on money, right? We have a lot of stories, and lots of times our worth is attached to money. Therefore, if our worth is attached to money, and it could look like this, it could look like our worth is attached to money. And so when we have a certain amount, we're more worthy, or when we do without, we're more worthy, or how we manage it is how we're worthy. So as long as our worth is attached to money, it will respond to you and according to the belief systems you have about it. When we can actually just release money from being attached to our worth, and be attached to some of these stories that we have around money, and we just see it as energy, it flows in accordance to love. So what I love, it flows to me. That makes sense. If I fear it and I don't like it, it'll flow in accordance with that too.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? And so often lack or our scarcity, we tend to be focused on, the fear of not having it, the fear of it not being there. And so money responds accordingly.
Okay, so if I'm someone and I'm in a position where I'm worried about money, let's say I don't have enough money or it's scarce or whatever, what you're saying is I would need to focus on what?
Yeah, the thoughts, the actions, and your energy around money. So what do you do when you're scared about money? What do you focus on? What's not in your account, where it's missing, where it's not coming in, and you're paying attention to what everything costs, how you don't that's what happens when we're fearing around money.
Yeah.
Right? 100%. So instead, and then would you say that when you're in fear around money like that, that the experience is a match, right? Yeah, I'm fearing it, I'm afraid of it, and therefore it's not showing up.
Right.
I've done this work. I've played with this because I have a lot of money stuff.
I do too. Yeah.
Stuff, right. So I've had an opportunity to really, really play with this in like a really sort of challenging situations. So what I chose to, what you can choose to do in the face of scarcity, of that lack, is to begin to just pay attention to all that you actually do have.
Okay.
So I've got 25 cents. I've got $5. Sometimes we look on our wallet, like, oh my gosh, I only have $5 in my wallet. But you can look at it and go, I got $5 in my wallet. And beginning to pay attention to all the ways that it is there. This is the same for love, so we can often be focused on where there's a lack of love and there's a lack of, good people in my life, or I don't have that loving partner, or I don't have the love with my kids or whatever. And instead we can also focus on where do I have it? Where are all the places that I do have love in my life? And as the more you give attention to areas you do have it, or whether that's love or that's money, those areas begin to flourish and grow.
It's funny because that is something I actually have parents do as well, your child is driving you crazy. You're angry and triggered all the time. You need to step back for a minute and you need to find what you love about them. And it can be simple. Like, I love the freckles that you have. I love how soft your skin is. I love that your hands look like mine. Your hugs feel really good because, like you said, what you focus on grows. And when we're only focusing on the bad stuff, that doesn't help us, right? And then when we decide something is true as well, then our brain goes in search of proving it to be true, whether it is or not. Exactly. Right? It's irrelevant whether it is or not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. And I think you're going to give us some steps to really get there. Because if this sounds a little vague, you've got concrete ways to really focus on the abundance and really cultivate it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I like to do is just simply begin to sort of think of some key areas in your life, right? And capture what you tend to focus on there. So just play with this. Look at your joy level. So because of course abundance is not just money, it's not just things, it's about how I feel. It's about but of course you could have lots of money and be unhappy.
Yeah.
You know this story, right? So abundance and abundant living is really about having a wealth of joy, a wealth of love and prosperity in all forms, right? So we've got to give attention to all those things that contribute to that in our life. So you could pay attention to, for example, you could go and pay attention to the amount of joy in your life, right? So notice when it comes to joy and fun and things that you really love, like that you get joy from, what is your attention there? Are you paying attention to the amount you have or the amount you don't have?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or you can look at your the opportunities in your life. You know, you can look at, you maybe have there's no opportunity, I don't have chance to create something. You know, are you focused on the lack of opportunity, or are you focused on noticing all the little opportunities that you do have?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the more you focus on the abundance of opportunities and the abundance of choices you have, the more those will come into your experience.
Okay. And is that just a universal truth?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Right. And you can also look at it from your belief system, right? You just said it, right? So what I believe is what I create in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy behind my beliefs, right? Give it kind of more oomph one way or another, right?
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
stronger, those higher vibe energies are really going to power up that belief even further. Or those lower vibe energies are really going to power the lower vibe beliefs. That makes sense.
So how is this related to, and this is maybe a curveball question, but how is it related to like fake it till you make it?
No, I think that a fake it till you make it is trying to convince yourself of something that you don't believe. I don't really believe in that.
Okay.
My idea, or what I believe in, is that go find what you can believe in. So if you're looking at, let's just take money, because it's a really easy one to go with here, and you're in a real crunch with money, and you're really feeling the stress of that. Again, go notice that, like, I have 10 cents. Right? Okay, I have money. So, and then notice this is what I would see money falling out of my dryer, and I would see, I'm like, yeah, like it's actually under my chair, in the couch, and I'd be like, it's literally everywhere. Right? So I would just start to notice all the small ways first. Usually it's because we have some measure, like I got to see $100 bills everywhere in order to feel abundant. Right? But when I can really begin to notice all the small ways, all the little simple joys, all the simple ways that I actually do have, I'm not thinking it. Right? But as I focus on it, it expands.
And what a disservice we do to the small things, right? Because they are there and they are true.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely believe it's important to really to believe it and but it's just, that's a perception or a state of mind. I can choose to only focus when it hits a certain amount, or I can only focus on it when it measures up, or I can choose to notice it in all ways all the time.
Yeah. Now you mentioned lack. So what is your definition of lack versus abundance?
Yeah. So lack would be where you're focused from a fear-based perspective.
Oh, fear. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So fear-based perspective on what's not there.
Okay.
Okay. And then abundance would be focused on a perspective that's aligned with love, and you're noticing all that is there.
Okay. Right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. That's good. So what gets in our way?
So often because we're using our current situation we're observing our current situation, and we're paying attention to what's not there. Right.
Yeah.
So right. So it's okay. How do I have an abundant mindset if I don't have money in the bank? How do I have love if I don't have a loving partner? Right. So we usually are looking at our current situation and using that as the measure of whether or not we should be happy or not.
Yeah. I think there's times when like, pick this apart. Tell me what you think of this, because there's like, okay, so I'm doing the work, I'm focusing on stuff, and then my kid needs to go to the dentist and it's $3,000. Well, that didn't work. Is that what I say? Like, what happens? Like, what would that not happen if I was focused on abundance, or would it? Like, tell me.
Right. It's all, again, all the perspective on it, right? It's all the perspective on it. So I always look at it when something's coming in, when something is coming in that's sort of not in alignment or seems to sort of be getting in the way, quote unquote. In other words, our ego's like, I don't like that doesn't fit. When it's getting in the way, I always go, there's an opportunity for you. There's likely an old story, a belief system that is under the surface, kind of unconscious, that's at play, that's helping create your current situation. So when something does come in that kind of throws you off, it's like, okay, what's in this here? There's a gift in here. There's a story that I'm telling. There's a belief system I've got going on here that needs to be cleared and healed in order for me to move forward, or to continue to grow, or to have a fuller experience of abundance.
So your reaction of fear is a call to action.
Yes.
To look at this.
Yes.
but the dollars and cents still matter,
Sure.
whether I have the $3,000 or not.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, but what happens when we move into the energy of love or appreciation or gratitude, we open up to our creative solutions.
Okay. I hear you now.
Yes,
Okay.
now I'm opening up. What happens when we get into fear, we go zoomed in like a lens, and all we're focused on is what's not there and what's missing. And we sort of shut down, and we don't have the ability to kind of open up and see whether there's other possibilities. And I personally experienced this where I've been like, oh my gosh, terrified situation, life is over or whatever, right? We have those, scenarios, and I had to find a way. So I just sat there, and one of the processes that I do is that I actually journal in that moment. I actually journal all my fears, and I get them out of me. Yeah. And when I journaled my fear, I got it out, and I just sat there. I was like, oh. And then I was like, boing, and I remembered I had this creative solution came in, and it was like an instant access that I had. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot that I had that money sitting over there. And it wasn't like a pot of gold money, but it was money that I had not realized I had access to. I had taken care of something before, and it was sitting there. And because I was so zoned in fear, I didn't even realize that I had access to it. As soon as I had actually realized that, you know what, I get this. I have this old story that, that I'm not enough, and that I have to be afraid and scared all the time about money and focused on lack. I just let it out. And then as I kept letting it out and doing the healing on this, then the creative solutions and the creative opportunities opened up. Sometimes it's like literally someone's handing you a gift. Not always, but sometimes. I've had situations where it wasn't the money that I was handed, but it was the opportunity I was handed. Or it was something where I needed an item or something. I didn't get the money to buy the item, but I got the item. It was given, or one time it showed up in my mail. Like so the more you just stay in the energy of like faith and trust and love, that the solutions will present themselves.
Yeah. Okay. I really like that you said that. So basically, living in fear, it narrows your focus. All you can focus is on the fear. But if you are able to let go of that fear, and whether it's journaling, whether it's, I don't know what, yoga class, kickboxing class, whatever you need to do to let go of what's holding you back, you need to also trust and have faith in the fact that creative solutions will come to you. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. And I have a belief system in that. So I believe that we are all naturally abundant beings, that it's available to everybody. That's a belief system I have. And that's a belief system that serves me well. Right. So when I come back to that belief system, and I know that as I focus on this, and as I focus my energy on this, I've experienced in so many times, in so many ways in my life, is that when I get out of fear, and I open to creative possibilities, that so much is taken care of. So sometimes it's not just focused on money, it's focusing on the love that's in my relationship with my partner or my kids. It's focusing on, obviously I have clients and I work with clients, so it's focusing on my love there. Another powerful thing to do is get into the energy of giving. Sometimes when we're in a scarcity mode, we're in scarcity mode, we're like we're like holding on tight and gripping because we're so scared, because but that energy is like, it's like a holding pattern. So we want to be able to create flow. And so one of the beautiful ways to do that is to give. So that could be expressing gratitude. That could be giving love. It could be sharing wisdom. It could be giving someone a hug. And it's just all that energy of positive flow. And I played with this in my life. I've been on the extremes.
Yeah. And I know, I mean, you've shared stuff with me, so I know what you're talking about is coming from a place not only of understanding this work, but like life has been so generous to you to give you experiences to pull from.
Yes, it is.
What a nice way of saying it, right?
I see it. And that's actually how I see it.
Yeah.
Is that I look at some of those situations that I was in that were fairly challenging, and maybe you could even label them as scary. And I am so grateful for them, because I got to learn to practice all of this stuff, and I got to tap into my own power, which is really tapping into really recognizing that I am in charge of my own inner state. And I'm in charge of it by what I choose to focus on. So when I choose to focus on love and appreciation and gratitude and joy, that I change my energy, and then my world becomes a match for that.
Yeah.
Right.
And not to mention the fact that when you focus on love and peace and joy, it feels really good. Like it feels good. It feels like home. It feels like that's the way we should be.
That's our natural state.
We're all trying to get there in some way, shape, or form, I think. And it's already here. It's already right here. You just need to appreciate the small ones, not grandiose. Like, you know, you want to be happy. Doesn't mean you need to be a superstar or, you know, a celebrity or whatever. That's not that. Right. And that doesn't make you happy anyway. So
no, right. So it's really that's the exact thinking, that story and that way of thinking is what causes the suffering. Right. So when I can just, right. So if I can really just, and then creates the lack situation, right. If I can just simply go that every single one of us in any given moment of time can sit here and just to go, okay, I'm going to choose to pay attention to the abundance in my life right now. And so sometimes it can just, sometimes if you're in a difficult situation, it can feel like a really far stretch, but it could be appreciating the warmth outside of the sunshine. Mm-hmm. It could be appreciating the sound of the rain. It could be appreciating and then it can start there, right? Mm-hmm. Starting getting to that energy of appreciation. And then you'll begin to feel abundant. Abundance is a feeling. It's a state of being. It's a state of being in love and passion and peace and gratitude and love. That's what abundance is. And as you live in that state, your world becomes a match. And of course, money is a byproduct of that flow, right? So when I appreciate money, when I love money, when I pay attention to money in a positive way, I allow money to grow and come into my experience even more.
You are currently listening to the Parenting Our Future podcast. I'm parent coach Robin McMahon. If you're enjoying this podcast, please share it with someone who you think might also need to hear this message. And please don't forget to subscribe, and I would be grateful if you gave me a 5-star rating on iTunes. If you'd like to connect with me, all my details are in the show notes, and for a copy of my book, go to yellingcurebook.com. Now back to the show. That is so well said. I love everything about what you just said. And it's really clear, you know, focus on those little bits, focus on those little things. And I think that that's a great place to start. I think that there's more to it, you know, like an actual practice. And so can you walk us through the steps?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So the steps of a connection practice.
Like how you can begin to align with the love and the joy and the peace and all that to create your abundant life.
Yes. So I make it a daily practice. So especially because most of us are so focused on lack, like that's kind of what, if you pay attention to the news and pay attention to just everything out there, everything is so focused on lack. So it really is going to take an intentional practice for you to begin to shift this. So I make it a daily practice. So I start my day here, right? So I start my day with an intention. I call it connection practice. Right? And in that connection practice, part of what I do is I get into that energy state by focusing on gratitude. By focusing, I've learned to be able to come to and just tune into the energy of love and what it feels like in my body. And I've learned to just get into that state through meditation.
Okay. It doesn't always have to be meditation. It can just be, you can even journal it, right?
Gratitude list. Like I'll be driving in my car sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. Like, oh, the Starbucks coffee, you know, and I think I'm going to be an advertisement right now for it because I think it's the mug or their cup, which is that first sip. So I'll have that first sip and I'm like, oh, I am so grateful for this. Mm-hmm. And then and it's so simple, right? Like I could have, like life could be falling down around me, but I have the Starbucks and I have that cup and I have that sip and I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful for this right now. And you always want to go, I'm so grateful. I'm deeply appreciative because, and get into the energy of why. Here's why I'm grateful.
Yeah. I love that. You've got to say because, yeah.
It's really important. And then you want to get into that feeling state. So this is the simplest practice ever is to get in because the energy of abundance is in a state of appreciation and gratitude. So gratitude practice to me is just the hands down easiest one. Right. So if you don't want to do something like meditation or that hasn't worked for you, then don't worry about it. But something like a gratitude practice and just 10 things. So 10 things you appreciate. So if you're working on a certain area, let's say you're working on money, go appreciate 10 things about your financial situation. Mm-hmm. Right? Or if you're working in the area of love, go appreciate 10 things about love or your career. If you are wanting to, you could also do a daily practice of paying attention to the abundance in your life, right? So you could just take 10 things. What is the evidence of abundance in my life right now? Right? And just noticing.
Yeah, that's really great. I love it. That's really great. So really the theme of this all is just noticing the little things, right?
Yes.
Picking up all those little jewels of life. And I think it's also recognizing that, you know, we do focus on lack because we have a negativity bias in our brains. Like that's just the way we are, because lack is survival, right? That it triggers our survival and our fight or flight as well, right? But we are never in a situation where a saber-toothed tiger is coming out of the bushes to kill us. So this is an ancient programming in our brains that really doesn't serve us in today's way.
Yeah.
Today's society and today and we are the most abundant we've ever been. So let's claim it for ourselves, right? Let's
Absolutely.
claim it. Start of this new decade. Let's do this. Like, let's do this.
Totally. I totally agree. So that's how we have to check it. We have to kind of check ourselves. So when we're kind of like, you know, going into that state, and remember, it's often just an old story. I part of what I teach is really recognizing what our history is around money and love. And, you know, we have a history, like a family history that we just carry forward without questioning it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And sometimes that story and that way of showing in life, we just do it without even realizing it. And at some point in time, if things aren't working for you, you want to catch that story and recognize that maybe it's not true, and that I can actually show up differently now. So I have a little step process that I can lead you through if that is helpful.
Yes, please, because who doesn't want to clear that stuff up?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's always about just self-awareness, you know, and then setting some intention around doing something different.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, walk us through that, please.
Yeah. Okay. So what I like to do is when I'm getting, again, this kind of comes into when I'm getting into triggered, or I'm having sort of feelings like, you know, an emotional reaction, sort of, I call them low vibe states. So usually they're energies or emotions that don't feel so good to us. You always just want to get curious about them. And the question I ask is, what am I feeling? And what's the story I'm telling right now? It's full of information. Right. And so if you go into, again, any area where you're experiencing kind of lack and you're not feeling abundance. So again, just check your areas of your life. Where am I not experiencing abundance? Any area where you're not experiencing abundance is likely because you're focused on lack. And there's an old story that's kind of just on autopilot.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna just tell you a story from my own life, just because I think this will help. Like when I was growing up, it was a roller coaster of finances, right? We were on top of the world one minute and like not the next. And my dad, and kind of why I asked you this question earlier, he was the fake it till you make it kind of person, but money totally changed him. He was sweet and lovable and lovely when he didn't have money, but he became arrogant, rude, dismissive, like, what do you know? Like, you know, I'm the man kind of thing when he had the money. So I got some stuff.
Yeah, we all do. Let's just know that.
Right? Yeah. And so he was also an entrepreneur, wanted to build his own business and company. It didn't actually work out for him. He passed away 4 years ago. And I know I was really sad because he didn't ever get to what he wanted to do. But now here I am doing the same thing. And sometimes that gets in the way because he really hurt us as kids. I don't know why I'm telling you this whole story, but anyway, it's fine, right? I didn't mean to, but he hurt us, my sister and I, because of it.
Yeah.
You know, because, well, for lots of different reasons, but that I will not go into. But, you know, it hurt us. And so, you know, a fear for me is I don't want to do that to my family. You know, I don't want to borrow money from my kids, which is what, you know, he did, and other things that are more egregious than that. But, you know, so that has been a fear, you know? So that's the kind of story we're talking about.
Totally. And we all have those kinds of stories on some level, right? We've all got these stories on some level that so you would want to look at when you're in a trigger mode and maybe there's a financial situation that is reflecting a situation that was maybe you experienced in your childhood, and then fear kicks in. Right? Because it goes right back to that childhood state and brings up that money story. But when that happens, so whether it's like, oh my God, so if you're feeling a high You might instantly start like, I can't be too high because I don't want to be all those quote unquote bad things. So I put a cap on something. And as that puts it, we have a set point or a limit. This is what, I don't know if this is what for you, but this is what it could look like. Right. And then you put a limit on it because of your old story, rather than just allowing sort of the abundance to flow freely through you. But there's a story you have. If I do that, I'm going to become a bad person.
Yeah.
Right. And
maybe that's it.
Destruct my relationships. And I'm not going to destruct my relationships because I love my people. Right. So that's why
it's not about me.
So that's why we have to check those stories. So our triggers are gifts. So when we're feeling those uncomfortable feelings or feeling the lack, and we feel the lack when we see it in our life, right? So all of a sudden there's a situation that comes up and it's, things aren't flowing the same and we go here. So we want to be curious about that. So we want to get the feeling and we want to catch the story, which is, you did a beautiful example of sharing. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. It's nice to have the example. So I appreciate it.
It's like healing in real time here. This is what's happening, right? That's what you say.
Yeah, it is. So when I do that, so you want to articulate the story, you want to get it out. I like to journal it out. Or talk it out, or if I have someone to do it with, it's perfect too. And the next thing you would ask, as I'm seeing the situation right now, am I aligned with lack and fear, or am I aligned with abundance and love? And so if you were to just take your situation right now, what would you be aligned with?
Well, my default setting would be fear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
100% fear. Although I do notice myself being and let's just be clear, this is not an issue right now. This is just an old story, and that's right. I just want to be clear. But my default setting around money, because there are some issues there, would be to go to fear 100%. 100%. But I'm noticing, sorry, I lost track of my thought there for a second, but I notice that I'm like, no, thank you. Thank you for this. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful for my kids, my husband, my love, my friends. I'm grateful for the chair that I'm sitting in, the water bottle, the best water bottle in the world that I have at my desk, all this stuff. Yeah. So I do notice a shift in myself. So that's exciting for me, but
yes. So you got to catch it. So when you catch it in the fear-based angle, you got to go, okay, is this really true? Right? Is this really true? And then what old worn out pattern or habit that's based in lack is being presented to me for clearing? That's all that's happening when these situations are happening, is that they're a result of your previous decisions and your previous thought patterns and beliefs, right? Just the way you showed up in life, your habits and the way you showed up, that's your current experience. And so when it comes up for you, it's like, okay, great. So what is it that needs clearing? How can I see this differently? What would be an abundant way, or if I were aligned with love, to see this differently? So for you, it might be like that I'm actually nothing like my dad.
Yes.
That my dad and I are two separate people.
Yeah. And his experiences are not my own.
Yeah. And here's what I love too, is my favorite one too, because I have a little bit of stories that I can relate to that, is that money doesn't make someone good or bad. It just makes you more of what you already are.
Yes.
If you're a naturally giving and loving person, money will help you expand that. Right? So that was one of the.
But if you are naturally a narcissist, then you become one on steroids.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, you're just so loving in the way you talk, but not so much for me.
I love it. That's the beauty of our conversation. It's fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
And it's about calling that up and going, is this really true? And seeing it through a new lens, right?
And the results, if I am to interpret this right, you do those steps, and I don't want to jump forward to a step.
Yeah.
Is really to go back to what we just talked about, which is having the trust and the faith that when you are going to let it go, because you don't have to hang on to it, and you may feel that you have to still hang on to it because the fact of the matter is I really need the money and I'm going to freak out and the world's going to, all this stuff, is no, stop, slow down, let it go, and trust and know that this is a universal law and it will come to you in a way that you might have never expected.
Yes. Yay. And here's the thing. I want you to ask yourself, how many times have you freaked out, and it actually made it, like, it turned into something better? Like, most of the times it just
never.
Right. So just use your past experience. Like, how is this working for me? So I always freak out, and I'm always based in lack, and I seem to always be stuck in lack. So it's not working. So if anything, if you're not sure about this, why not give it a try? Like,
Hello.
Honestly, this is where I came from. I'm like, I've got nothing to lose, like literally nothing to lose. So, and then I'm like, holy, this works, And so that's where I'm like, oh my gosh, people just have to understand it's so much simpler. It can be so much simpler. It's just our own stories that we get caught in that make everything so much more complicated.
That is so profound, right? I love it. Yay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. If this isn't working anyway, so let's do this. Yes. Yes, right? Let's start this. Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And you might as well feel good, right?
Oh, hello. Yes.
Hello. Yeah. And just
don't we all want to feel good? And I love this because it's contagious. You're happier. You show up as a better parent. You show up as, your kids will, everything changes. Everything changes. Your perspective is so powerful. The way we see the world, the way we choose to handle things is everything.
How we pay attention to the world really matters. It determines our reality, right? And this is where your power is. Some people kind of get that like, oh, I feel like you're blaming me for it. And I'm like, nah, I'm not blaming. I want you to see your power in this. When you recognize your power to shift your focus, and you can really change things for yourself for the better. This is your power, right? This is where your gifts are. And this is where, to me, this is where the empowerment comes. I went, here you go. Like, you can do this. You've got it within you. You've got it already within you.
Beautiful. We've already got it within us, and we're all going to do this.
Tapping into it.
Beautiful. Andrea, thank you so much. Do you have any last words before we sign off here? Or did we miss any steps?
I just want to do the very last step, which is if you were to, no, that's okay. It's okay. We're just.
This is a practice. This isn't perfection.
So the very last step would just be what would be so once you've kind of got the healing on it or seen the new perspective, what would be the new action coming from that healed place? So coming from that energy of love, coming from the energy of abundance. Like if you had no fear and you were totally aligned with love, how would you choose differently? And then you want to continue to practice showing up in that way, right? And that's the healing in action. Okay, so that would be the final step.
Oh, fantastic. Sorry, I didn't mean to almost cut you off there.
It's all good. Just having a good conversation.
I'd like to demonstrate how perfection is not
overrated.
It's overrated. Thank you. Yes, it's overrated. Okay. Well, okay. Again, I love you so much. And this is so great. I hope everybody listening really feels the same way. And you are such a gift to this world. You are a gift to this podcast. Thank you. And all of your information, because you do work with clients, you work in groups, you work with one-on-one, you do some really amazing work. And I feel so grateful to know you and to have you here. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Robin. Aww. I so appreciate you and this opportunity to connect with your audience and hopefully share something that even if it's just a little piece of something that offers a new perspective or a new shift that makes a change. That's all I'm here to do and how I'm here to help. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity that you've given me to do that.
Thank you for listening to this edition of my podcast, Parenting Our Future. I'm parent coach Robin McMahon, and if you're enjoying this podcast, please share it with someone who you think might also need to hear this message. And don't forget to subscribe, and if you like my work, I'd be grateful if you gave me a 5-star rating. For those of you who like my content and want more, visit me at yellingcurebook.com to get your copy of my book and to find other resources to help you. Until next time, I am wishing you and your family peace and connection.